I'm doing a review on a Fort Knox personal pistol box and my experience with Fort Knox's customer service. I originally purchased the safe because it met all my requirements for size, door swing, mounting option, and most importantly, the mechanical locking mechanism. Unfortunately, the sloppiness of the locking mechanism is my biggest complaint with the safe, and I looked into this problem with great detail because I troubleshoot issues like this on a regular basis as a mechanical engineer and knew something was not right with it. You can see here how loose and uneven the buttons are. They differ by nearly a quarter of an inch, which allows for a very sloppy textile feel while depressing the buttons. I thought this was a simplex lock issue, so I called Fort Knox and they sent me a new locking mechanism. However, the real issue is caused by the construction of the safe and not the lock itself. When I took the simplex lock off, I immediately noticed that the holes were much too large and allowed the buttons to go completely through the front of the safe. These holes are cut to 12 millimeters, but should actually be cut to 8 millimeters according to Simplex's instructions, which I will show later. If the holes are drilled to 8 millimeters, then the flange on the button would bottom out on the back of the door, preventing them from sticking out too far. After realizing what the issue was, I sent Fort Knox an email with a PDF document explaining the problem with their safe and asked how we could resolve this issue. They replied to me and said they were taking my suggestions into consideration, but the only thing they could do was offer a refund. Since they were considering my suggestions, I was hoping they would have more options for me. I called the same person who emailed me and asked if there was anything else they could do for me and if they would be willing to replace my safe once they corrected the problem. The lady I spoke with said no, they could not do that and would not commit to if and when they would correct the problem. She said I could return the safe if I wanted, but I would have to pay for shipping since it was not, in quotes, technically defective. I told her that I disagreed about it being defective because Simplex has specific instructions about what size holes to drill and that it was unacceptable for me to have to pay for shipping costs. She then replied by saying something to the effect of how busy Fort Knox is and that she would just issue me a shipping label so she could be done with it, and then told me to email her with the request. I felt completely dismissed by this and was quickly rushed off the phone. I felt like her response was unjust, which is one of the reasons I am doing this review. I wondered why Fort Knox would not commit to fixing the problem and thought they might have tooling that needed to be updated. I decided to scrape some of the paint off the holes to see how they were making them. It is fairly obvious from the pictures shown that the holes are either plasma cut or laser cut, and all that would be needed to fix the problem is to update their cutting program. This is a very easy fix and is something that Fort Knox should be able to change. These are the exact slides that I sent to Fort Knox explaining the problem. And as you can see, the button furthest to the right is actually how far all the buttons should stick out. The reason that one sticks out as much as it does is because it's stopped by a weld BB. Just so happened to be that the BB stops that button at the proper distance. All the rest of the buttons stick out too far. The following 5 slides should be fairly self-explanatory with the descriptions and photos. This is the last slide that I sent to Fort Knox, and unfortunately they never replied with an answer as far as what was going on with the Simplex model number that they sent me as a replacement lock. So to sum things up, unfortunately I can't recommend purchasing this pistol box as a result of the loose buttons, and would not have purchased it had I known about the issue before buying it online. As a direct result of what I feel was poor customer service, I won't be purchasing another Fort Knox product in the future. Thank you for taking time to watch my review.